Hi, Melissa. All right, I'm going to kick our jazzy jazz here. Welcome, Morgan, Adriana. Cool. So we're going to get going. I don't want to take up too much of your day or waste any time because we have so much to talk about. So unlike a lot of other meetings, we're not going to sit here and chat at you. Christina and I thought this would be a really great time to get our groups together since we all sort of border one another. And it's a good idea share time. So we've all been through the last 2 years. We've all been through what this whole new normal situation looks like for school and SADD. I dare not even call it that sometimes. But we know that things have changed quite a bit. A lot of folks are new. A lot of folks have questions like, what do I do next? And I think it's best to learn from each other. Christina and I certainly don't have all the answers, and neither of us have either actually been in your positions as SADD advisors necessarily, especially within a school setting. So we'll give you a little bit of like a 411 on what's going on with SADD, but for the most part, I want to make sure we make this connection between each of you as the folks that are doing this on the ground, having that connection with our students and learn from one another. So we're going to give you some resources, some tips, some tricks. Christina, do you want to introduce yourself for folks that don't know you?
Hi, I'm Christina Schechtman, and I am the regional manager for New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. I see a couple familiar folks in here. I'm excited you guys were able to make it.
And I'm lmeade. I am the regional manager for New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New Jersey. So in case you're wondering, we do have a very large space of folks here today. We're also recording for not only posterity, but for the folks who can't make it today. We had probably about 60 or so folks that were interested in joining, but you know, times and stuff being what they are, here we are. So very, very quickly, we did put a slide deck together for you all. I'm not going through all these slides. That's not fun for anyone. But I will have this available later in a resource for you so you can go through it. So if you're brand new to SADD, which can we raise our hands? Who's like brand new to SADD? So I don't have to look at the chat. Okay, welcome. So excited to have you. This is a journey. We're all going on it together. For our veteran folk, welcome back. We're excited to have you as well. We can certainly all learn from each other. What this sort of looks like across the country is this mess. So it's a little bit of chickenpox on your screen right now, but just know that we have chapters in all 50 states. So not only are we hosting this learning collaborative for our Northeast and New England folks, but we also talk to the rest of the folks all over the country. So if there's something that you want to learn about, or you want to know about, or you want to figure out how to do, or bring to your chapter, your school, your community, we have this whole country as a resource, which I think is so cool and so important to realize, because like what's going on in rural Maine may not necessarily be happening in Manhattan. And we can learn from, let's say, Nebraska, what we can do in Maine that might look the same. Again, not going through all this jazz, you can learn a little bit more about SADD as we go along, but I think it's important to note history. We are celebrating our 40th birthday this year, so that's exciting for us. Another reason why Christina and I will kind of want to highlight some things for you all. If you're brand new to SADD, you should definitely check out some of our values. The things that we hold dear, the things that we think are important to this organization. Welcome to new folks. You can also have a look into our initiatives and the things that we tend to focus on at SADD. It really does run the gamut, and something Christina and I tell folks all the time. SADD is about what you make it and what your students want it to be. We have plenty of statistics. If you ever want to tell somebody why SADD matters, you know, you can always reference this. Christina, do you want to talk a little bit about weed out impaired driving?
Sure. So I know I have spoke to all of my folks probably almost too much about this already, so I apologize, but it is a really super easy contest for your SADD members or prospective members to enter. It takes very little time. They film themselves coming up with it's an idea, not an actual PSA. Can't stress this enough. Just their idea, their pitch for a PSA about driving impaired. Super short, super sweet, big money, $2,500 if they win. And their submissions, if their PSA is chosen, it gets produced by an Emmy Award-winning producer and aired nationally, which is really cool for some of our media savvy students or some of our more into communication students. They have the opportunity to have a commercial across the country. We don't get nearly as many submissions for this contest as we would like. And so if they do enter, their chances of winning are pretty good, whether it's the top prize or one of the other finalist prizes. If you have any questions about that, there is a link here, but Lauren or I are happy to talk them through, happy to brainstorm ideas with you, happy to kind of guide students on what it looks like to enter. It's super easy, and I would love, love, love for some of our students to win some cash for doing stuff that they're pretty much already doing, making videos. So easy peasy. The deadline to enter is January 31st, but I know Lauren and I are both running some promotionals where if you enter sooner than that, or if you get a certain number of entries from your chapter, you can win some additional cash or some SADD swag, depending on where you are. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, also hit up Lauren or I.
And I think these are great times for us to kind of push this stuff out to you all, because I know we put out a lot of emails and newsletters and all this great fun stuff, but we all always don't have the time to read those things. We acknowledge that. So if it helps, and it helps to brainstorm and actually realize what these things are when we have these conversations, great, makes life easier. The other big thing that we've been talking about recently has been this super fun announcement that we put out recently. So if anyone's a big Disney fan, or if your students are big Disney fans, which I'm going to take a hot guess that they are, we are actually spending 4-ish days in Walt Disney World in July at our SADD National Conference this year. We just announced all of this information and put out a fundraising guide and things that you can do to get your chapter excited about this. So we'll talk about recruitment in a minute, because I know that that's something you all wanted to focus on, but this is another way to get students involved and interested in SADD and being part of the chapter, if you can kind of push them to go to Disney. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Disney? PVSA, another good one that we can put out there. Christina, you want to do this one?
Sure. The Presidential Volunteer Service Award is something that SADD is able to certify students. So any of your students that are out there in the community doing great work, volunteering, students that you know are heavily involved in those types of things, we essentially can we can certify all of their volunteer hours, whether it's through SADD activities or at their soup kitchen or doing, Meals on Wheels. Anything that they're doing, we can certify, and they get recognized by the president, which is pretty neat. Not a lot of students can say that they've done that, and it also looks great on college applications. So if you have any go-getter students that really want to keep pushing boundaries and to really make sure that they stand apart from their peers, this is an awesome, easy way for them to do that, and to get credit for something that a lot of these kids are doing anyway.
Yep, I love it. We had a couple of folks in the Northeast New England area get these awards last year. It's incredible to see that the students are able to grab this sort of stuff from the work that they're already doing as part of SADD. So one more thing that's great about being part of the SADD Nation universe. So I want to jump into a lot of the things that you all talked about you were interested in chatting with one another for. So some of those big topics included recruitment and membership. One, I'm seeing a dip in membership. I don't know how to deal with that. Two, I don't know how to recruit new students. So I think it's a good time to talk about what we can do as far as recruitment, what that might look like. If anyone has any wonderful ideas that they've used and have worked in their school, we want this to be more of like a collaborative. Again, Christina and I do this sort of all day where we talk at people, and we don't want to do that today because you all have wonderful ideas. So let's discuss. Anyone have any great recruitment thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? We can build from there. I'm also going to trust that you all know how to use your own mute buttons.
All right, I'm gonna jump in since no
Do
one
it.
else is.
Bravery. Love it.
So, I've been a SADD advisor for a very long time. I actually did SADD when I was in high school. Honestly, just for the college, second look there. Looking good on the resume, but since I've been an SRO, I've been a SADD advisor. We've been talking with Christina. We've had a tough time getting kids coming. We ended up taking last year off just because it was so difficult to have numbers that I just couldn't see trying to wrangle contact tracing, and honestly, it was just too overwhelming. So we think we're seeing a dip in our numbers trying to get us back. But we've had a couple of in-school meetings. I think we've had 3. So we've done like 2 afternoon meetings, a morning meeting, just to see where we could try to get the most kids in attendance. Sorry.
It happens. We get the buzzes and whistles.
Yeah, I wish we could turn off our like individual speakers. Anyway, we are having a meeting this Sunday, which is something we've done in the past, because let's face it, the kids that are going to do SADD are the kids that are doing Key Club and they're doing sports and they're working part-time. I mean, normally for us, although sometimes our group can be pretty eclectic, it's really the creme of the creme. It's the cream of the crop. I mean, it's whatever, cliche you want to use. I mean, it's the good kids. And, so they're usually really involved in a lot of other things. So it's not uncommon for us to do these meetings on a weekend. Sundays are good because there's no high school sports. And we'll get some pizzas and definitely be talking up the PSA and all that stuff. I mean, food, who doesn't like to eat? So even at our morning and afternoon meetings, we try to entice them with food. So that's always a good thing. But yeah, I think it's just trying to obviously be conscious of other meetings. So like when we did an afternoon meeting, we don't normally do them on Wednesday, but this one week we did, and they're like, oh, there's these other meetings happening today. And we're like, all right, mental note, we just started using a Google Classroom so that we can drop announcements in there. And so we've announced this week for the Sunday meeting, we've already had more kids respond that they're coming than what we've had at meetings. So I guess that's a win. Yeah. So, we've done some different things. We're planning on doing sticker shock right before Christmas vacation. In the past, we've always gone and done a retreat, and normally it's been in the fall. We have a camp probably about 45 minutes away. It's called Camp Kiev. And we normally do like a 3-day, 2-night overnight trip there. Usually costs us about $2,000. It's a leadership. We use it as an ice-breaking, team building leadership conference. But that's our planning period normally for what we're going to do each year. In the spring, we usually do a healthy decisions day. So anyway, I've talked a lot, but we're hoping to kind of hit all those same things. We probably won't be able to do Kiev because of COVID, but we'll try to do some smaller scale team building. My co-advisor is great. She'll throw together, like a taco party, and we'll all have a meeting at her house and do tacos. And so.
I love it. Maine? Sweet. Awesome. Go Maine. You brought up some of the things that I usually tell in my chapters, and that's some of the things that are in that guide that fancy thing is pointing to, which I'll send to y'all later. But a lot of the things are exactly dead on. You have to keep it fun. You have to make it something that they want to come to, not like it's another job. Something we tell the kids all the time, that it's their club. Unlike a lot of the other clubs at school, this is something where they actually get to choose what they want to do and how they want to do it. And sometimes that might look like an absolute hot mess to us, the adults, and we want to like touch it and make it better and make it different somehow. But like, this is how they're learning too, on how to create things and how to put things together and make these events. And if someday they want to sit in all of our shoes and create lesson plans and teach folks or be in the nonprofit world, this is how they're learning how to do it. So it's important to kind of give them that autonomy to do their own sort of programs and stuff too. Big target, always freshmen. So if you're in a 9 through 12 school, or whatever your school makeup looks like, whatever those incoming school kids are the next year, the next grade, those are your targets, big time. You want those students that are fresh off of the new school bus, the 8th graders that are terrified of the seniors. You want to be at freshman recruitment events, at new freshman orientation events, helping them with lockers, going down to the middle school maybe, or elementary school, and creating that kind of buddy system already, and making like a mentorship relationship with the younger students. Fantastic, not only use of your time as a SADD chapter, but establishing that great school community system. Trying to think of what else I got. Christina, just jump in, because I'll just keep talking.
I would say too, being in the schools or in the organizations, you all know really firsthand what's happening. Talk to students, even if they're not members, or even if you have no current student members, which I know a lot of my new chapters don't have any students yet. Talk to them, find out what they're interested in if you don't already know, and then host events that piggyback off of that. Lauren is always talking about stress relief events. Our students, this is not going to be a shock to anybody, they're stressed right now. They're super anxious. So anything that you can come up with that's like, come for coloring, we're going to color and we're just going to relax and color, or guided meditation, anything, yoga. Have a fun anti-stress event where you introduce them to SADD. It doesn't have to be all prevention and mobility safety all the time. We really have to focus on some of those fundamental issues before we're going to kind of make any greater impact. So meet the students where they are in your locations and really have fun with it. Have really good introductory events. And if you're going to be at freshman orientations or tabling or activities fairs, I would suggest just really make sure you have a definitive date for a meeting. So don't just pass out flyers about SADD at those tables. Make sure you can direct them to what are their next steps, right? So if they are interested, now what? Oh, well, here's a flyer. We're having a meeting on this day, come. That way you don't lose people just that might be interested, but then kind of fall off if they don't know what to do next.
If you've got 1 or 2 or 3 great students as well, they're your officers for this year, or you can designate them as like the chapter leadership for now until we elect folks. Make sure they follow up with those people too. Oh, you came to the table, you were interested in coming. Make sure those students are the ones that like kind of walk them to the meeting, so they don't feel like they're walking into this new environment completely cold. They can establish a meeting place ahead of time. Oh, we'll meet outside the cafeteria and walk to the meeting together, so they feel like they're walking in with someone that they have already established. Kind of get into the psyche a little bit of a high schooler too. Like, where were you in 9th grade with your braces or whatever? Like, did you want to just show up to cold to a SADD meeting or any other club meeting by yourself? Probably not. Think about also, I tell them this all the time, different chapter leaders or the students, I'm not above poaching students from other groups as well. So go shopping. Ask another club if you can have 5 minutes at the beginning of their club meeting and say, hey, this club aligns pretty well with what we do. National Honor Society, Leo's Club, Key Club, Mental Health Club, whatever, Impact, Youth to Youth. There's tons of other clubs out there, probably within your communities, that do sort of similar work or have similar missions, or folks that are service minded. So go there, ask them, can I have 5 minutes? Can I talk about SADD? Can I ask your students if they would be interested in joining SADD? Because that's a really great recruitment method, especially for the kids that are looking for more volunteer hours and stuff. We can certify those volunteer hours for them, give them an extra little check on their resumes. That's always a good one. Another good one that I've heard from a lot of our advisors actually is that they ask the social workers or school psychologists or anyone who's dealing with children who have any behavioral issues or some sort of detention program. Some of the schools are actually diverting their kids to using or to going to a SADD meeting instead of detention. So, okay, you got detention, you have to attend 2 SADD meetings. And they're finding that these students are actually finding a home at SADD and they're enjoying what they're doing and they stay. They don't just go for their 2 detentions and leave. The same with the social work connection. You know, we may have some social workers here, you know, the students that are looking for friendships, that are struggling a little bit, send them to a SADD meeting, or ask your social workers, can I have maybe a list of kids where I can go talk to these students and see if they'd come to a SADD meeting and find it useful for them. That could be a really great outlet for that student, and it gives you some more membership.
And I would say that leveraging partners is especially important for chapters that are within community organizations. I know we have quite a few of those in Maine where you're not in a traditional high school setting. You're either at a drug-free coalition, or I know the Boys and Girls Clubs here. Really try to partner up with other places where youths are, you know, go to the high schools. If you have contacts, leverage parent relationships, make sure parents have the information when they're coming to pick up or drop off kids at your center. Go to youth centers and teen centers in the area, offer them resources and partnerships, and just really kind of work together to make sure that, you know, you're achieving the goals that you set out to in terms of membership and reaching out students, but that you're not reinventing the wheel, right? There's a lot of folks out there that are trying to get these messages across, and the more people you can kind of have on the same team, the easier some of this recruitment's going to be. So you're not necessarily competing directly. Poaching is fine in terms of, you know, other organizations, but so you're not competing with, but working together to try and reach the most students, especially in the newer chapters.
Go ahead, Dawn, I'm sorry.
I just, the poaching thing, I lost 7 kids to the drama club this year.
There you go.
So, and it was really unique how she was doing it, but those 7 kids were all my freshmen from my middle school. So, and they're not coming back. Which I'm glad they're hooked into something that they like to do, but I'm not a big fan of that poaching thing after this year. So I'm going to pass on that one. But anyways, I've been doing this for a long time. And I really feel I'm one of the lucky ones in my district that I get to work with kids and families from 4th grade all the way up through to 12th grade. So I start tagging those kids in the classroom in 4th grade. 5th grade, we have a program in Vermont called Vermont Kids Against Tobacco. So I start doing that work. And then when they hit the high school, middle school, I have a leadership group, and I just keep tagging those kids, and they keep bringing their friends. So this year I actually have a pretty large, what I think is a large SADD group. I think I got 15 kids that are ranged from 9th through 12th grade. I've got a few seniors that have popped in. So I more word of mouth by the kids. Like, I'm all in for bribery. You know, you bring a kid, I'll buy you lunch at the green room, or I'll buy you your favorite ice cream. So I've been I haven't had to use that. They've just now starting to come on their own a lot, but I do set up like ice cream socials and stuff like that for them. Or donuts. They love donuts. So those are some ways to keep kids coming back. But
Dawn, I would 100% too, just say as another PSA plug, try to get those drama students to enter their PSAs, convince them that they could win worldwide, nationwide notoriety. They don't have to be SADD members, but just get them to enter the contest, because they're going to be exactly the kind of students we want doing that. And maybe it'll stir up a partnership between you and the drama club that you guys can kind of work together.
I did that. I said, hey, we got all this. I need your talents. And we guys want to make some money for your drama club. You know, I was doing all that. And you just see it on their face, like one more thing. So I couldn't back off, but we're working it. We're working a few things.
Great, Dawn.
When you're doing things too, I'm sorry, John, that you got reverse poached. When you're doing things too, make sure that SADD is really prevalent. So like if you're doing a kindness event, which is something that's probably going to drag students in more than like a traffic safety event, right? Traffic safety is not sexy. It's necessary, but not sexy. A kindness event or an anti-bullying event or even anti substance use is more attractive than traffic safety. We get that. But you got to start highlighting those things too in a way that like attracts the students and says, hey, we just did this really cool positive event. Do you want to be part of the next one? That's the way that SADD's going to market itself. And I think we'll leave recruitment here. I'll say one more thing though. 3 kids is still better than nothing. 3 kids you can do a lot with. 3 invested students is sometimes better than 100 students who are less invested. So use those students to the most of their abilities, like the most they're willing to give. They will be more valuable to you than, 300 kids in your club. I know I see some of you who I know who have smaller groups and are doing incredible things. Whitehall. Yeah. So, don't be afraid that just because you have 3 students, you're not doing well. You're doing great. We appreciate you. I'm going to move into one of your next questions, or one of the next things that you were interested in learning more about, which is the what do we do section of today's program. So what is SADD and what do we do? Like we kind of said earlier, it's sort of up to you, but it's mostly up to the students, and they have to find what the thing is in their schools, in their communities, that is something they're passionate about. What is it that we want to do? What do we think is an issue here at X school? And how are we going to go about it? So yeah, it takes a little brainstorming. We'll give you some ideas along the way. Don't worry, we got plenty of them. But it's about how you want to go about it, because it's going to look different in Whitehall versus Maine versus somewhere else. So we've put out this communications calendar every year for like 40 years. And it kind of breaks down, if you haven't seen this already, it kind of breaks down the year month by month on what SADD National will be focusing on. So if you have not seen this yet, you will get to see it plenty of times, we promise. We will send it out. It's also in the slide deck, obviously. But what I like to give our chapters at the very beginning of meetings is this. Put this out to your students and say, hey, this is the whole year. What do you want to do? What looks interesting? Like SADD National is going to focus on this. There's going to be a national thing about it. They're going to have resources. It'll be easy for us to do some of this stuff. What do you want to do? Let them choose. Then they don't have to think about everything that goes into reinventing the wheel. They just have to say, oh, World Kindness Day. That looks really cool. I think we can do something with that. And you can build off of there. It also gives you like a calendar for the year. So you can say, okay, February, we're going to do this. Who's going to work on that? And kind of delineate which students are going to be the ones that are responsible for X, Y, and Z. Does that sort of make sense? Yeah, no hand raising necessary. We're good.
I just wanted to add that being a new SADD advisor, this calendar has been absolutely amazing. When it comes to, planning different events and brainstorming with the kids, you can just do so much, even if it's, expanding from what, that national month might be that year. But I have found, just like I said, as a new advisor, that this was the most amazing thing I came across. It really has helped brainstorm amazing ideas that we can do with our kids.
It makes it easier. Most of you are also receiving newsletters and things now from us, and our monthly guides as well, right? I see some head nodding, so that's good. So it'll kind of break down like things that you can do throughout the year. And Christina and I kind of brainstormed too on like, what does that look like? So it doesn't have to be this big thing all the time, right? So you can do something as simple as giving out lollipops with messages on it, or putting Post-its up in the hallways. Or you can go ahead and run yourself a traffic safety fair if you want to, like go big or don't go anywhere. You can do this as big or small as you want to. Like there's no value on whether you're doing a small event or a large event, as long as it's making an impact. So again, these slides will be available for you all later, but this is just kind of an idea of like where you can go with some of the things that we have on that calendar. So for December, we're looking at impaired driving, mental wellness. Well, how can we do that? We can use the gift of a lifetime cards. SADD's been doing that for quite a while. It's an easy and free gift that your students can give to their caring adults for the holidays. They don't have to worry about buying anything, and they give them this fabulous gift that says, I'm not going to get in the car with an impaired driver. It's really simple. And wait for the tears that come from mom on Christmas morning when you open up the gift of a lifetime. It's an easy activity, and it's something you can even turn into a fundraiser if you want to. Same with January. There are folks that are doing things for the No Name Calling Week projects. They do this every year. They put out a guide every year. We don't need to rethink this. This is a great time for you as SADD to collaborate with your GSA at school or whatever your pride organization is at school, and create that safe, open space between SADD and GSA and the rest of your community, and do an awesome event. Easy. Sorry, I have a second monitor over here, my bad. You know, you can take this up a notch, do something simple with text less, live more, create a mindful zone for midterms. We were talking about some of that stress relieving stuff. This is a great time for SADD to cement itself as that like space where you can just go and hang out, make sure you get your stress out before midterms. Same with January. You can do a service project for anti-bullying. Christina, you got anything you want to throw in here?
Go with the cop. I always forget about that, but that's always a really fun time because it's partnering with, you know, sometimes new folks that can also help get the word out and exposes additional people to SADD. But it's always, you know, kind of an enlightening thing for students to get that chance to kind of have the one-on-one connection.
Especially if you have an SRO in your district. How great is it to have SADD sit down with your SRO and say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you here? What's your purpose? What's your role? What's an SRO? How does this work? You know, what does it mean to be part of the sheriff's office? I think it's a great time to open up that conversation, especially with everything going on in the world today, to have those conversations with law enforcement and create that space for students. And how cool would that be to be on like video morning announcements? I would love those. And if you really want to go big, I mean, you can do a giant sticker shock campaign. We have some ideas for that. If you'd like to see them, you can have like a whole mental health event that you throw. You can put together this big fair if you want to. Like, you can clearly see where we've gone from putting Post-its on lockers to creating this giant thing. And they're all equally valuable. Questions on programs? This is always a hard one because we can go 100 different ways. Anyone have a really successful thing that they did that they'd like to share?
I want to share one that we did in collaboration with our Health and Learning Center in the state of Vermont around suicide prevention. We ran, before COVID hit, we ran a It's Okay Not to Be Okay campaign. And we worked, I had one of my kids was became part of this symposium for the prevention of suicide. And so we ran a whole week thing. We had the admin on board and everything. It was pretty incredible. So last year when we got back into the building, the kids wanted to bring back It's Okay Not to Be Okay Part 2. And they ran another week of programming, bringing in counselors. We now have on site a therapy dog and a therapy cat. So it's been their work for many years, and finally it all came together. So they were pretty successful with it. So now they're working on what they call It's Okay Not Okay tree. That they're building in the hallway on a bulletin board from the ground up with all the different types of services, mental health, awareness, resource lines, everything. So this is going to have this big tree with all these limbs and leaves with all the information on it that they're building, that they're working on right now. I saw the trunk up yesterday, so they're moving on it. So I thought that was really cool that the amount of people that we had involved with that, community service, organizations and everything, and working with the symposium from the state of Vermont. And this year we have another kiddo that was chosen to be part of that. So we'll see how this all plays out, but I just thought they just did an incredible job with that.
Nice. Good for you guys.
I was just gonna say, in the past, I already mentioned sticker shock. We've done that before Christmas break and also before prom and graduation time. We've also done like the roadblocks where we have SADD kids with us. I use obviously other officers from my department, and we stop traffic coming in both ways to like the high school, middle school. And it's really more of a safety check than anything. If they're all wearing their seatbelts, you know, they either get some swag or some Smarties, candies or something like that. And if they're not, it's just a warning. It's just a, hey, buckle up, or, you know, if they're going too fast, hey, you got to slow down. It's 15 miles an hour. And the kids help hand stuff out or count cars or whatever we need them to do. But it's just another way. But I do like the idea of doing something for mental health, because as you commented, I mean, I think people are really feeling, you know, the whole world is talking social, emotional, you know, concerns. And I think it would be good to have some more things around that for our kids and for our staff, you know.
For sure. And I love what Dawn said about the tree in the hallway, because it's passive to someone that might be looking for help. So they don't necessarily have to go out of their way. They don't have to put themselves on the spot. It's just all these resources right there available to them. But it also educates the students that are putting it together and the other students in the school just about how many resources are actually available within the community to them. So that's a really neat kind of hands-on way to get students involved in that, and an easy way to educate other students on what's available.
We think from the education perspective too, you're mostly all educators are educating in some way, in some form or fashion. You know that whole one and done thing isn't really going to do it. Like having that conversation once about whatever prevention topic it is we're talking about isn't really going to do it. So if you want to do giant events focused on one thing just for one day, that's absolutely fine. Turn that into a week of small little things that your chapter of 5 can do. And that's going to make such a big impact, because they're going to see something on Monday and then Tuesday and then Wednesday. And then maybe by Friday it's sunk in and they've gotten it and they're going, oh, okay, maybe I should think twice about picking up my phone when I'm behind the wheel, or saying something to a friend when I see them doing it. It's creating that continuous reinforcement. So these little events, in my opinion, are sometimes more valuable than even the big scale, large confetti and streamers events. I know you all also asked about fundraisers and like, how do we make some money? Great question. We are always putting out different ideas for fundraisers and things like that. I know I include them in my newsletters as well. You get one a month. You too. Okay, thank you. Christina's nodding at me. So you'll get at least an idea per month of what you can do. You don't have to do it, but you can. So for December, we put out gift wrappers. You know, ask your school or whatever if you can host a gift wrapping event, or if you can do this in the hallways. It's a really simple one. You just buy a couple rolls of paper for any holiday. Don't make it specific. And then, you know, charge $5 to wrap gifts, or $30 for all the gifts you bring in, or whatever. It's actually a really good fundraiser, because most of us don't have time to wrap things, and I would easily hand off my stuff to my students.
Just terrible at wrapping.
That too.
I'm just awful.
Yeah, it's terrible. Going back to the cocoa thing again, you know, a lot of our chapters sell pizza or whatever else. Why not hot cocoa? Go to your local event and be the sponsor for hot cocoa for that thing. Any other great ideas on fundraisers? I know some of you have done some really good ones.
This one is, we just cleared $1,000 on this one, and it was effortless. It was peanut butter Buckeye sale. Buckeyes, we teamed up with our Tech Center bakery program, and they made them and charged us 50 cents for the thing. Then we turned around and sold them for $1.50 a piece. And we sold, I ordered 300 and I had to order another 300. So we've cleared, I think right now we're at 1,000. And so that's for the holiday, and the people can throw them in the freezer and pull out. So if you got a culinary program around or a bakery in town, I highly recommend it. People are like, oh, thank God I don't have to make these. And it was success. So
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, use your BOCES or whatever you've got in the state, your tech programs. That is a great idea. I love that. Any other good ones? Melissa, go.
Yes, for our school's homecoming dance, we asked permission from the student government to set up a table to sell mocktails instead of cocktails, non-alcoholic cocktails. And I bought fancy cocktail glasses on Amazon, and I brought in a couple blenders, and we did frozen drinks, you know, with strawberries and the little umbrellas. We charged, I think, $3 each, and in 3 hours, we made $800.
Love it.
They loved it. And you're promoting, you know, drinking mocktails instead of cocktails.
Beautiful. There's thousands of ideas out there just like this. Okay, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I know we said 2 to 2:45 today, so I'm sure you're all looking at me going, okay, this was a great conversation, but like, what do we do next? So we thought, what's the best way to kind of keep things going? I don't know if anyone uses Slack or if anyone's even interested in using Slack, but Christina and I have been playing around with it a little bit. It seems like a fun way to kind of keep in connection that's like low key and doesn't require a lot of notifications and craziness. So if you want to get onto Slack, we will have the link again on the slide deck we'll send out to everybody. It's really easy, and I can actually show you what it would look like, I think, maybe, possibly. Yeah, okay. Can you see Slack, or is it still
Still the PowerPoint.
great? Okay, let's try this. We should all know Zoom by this.
I feel like it changes things on us just to keep it interesting.
Cool.
Now I can.
Okay, that is not good.
I can hear you now, but Lauren, I don't know what's going on. I don't think Mercury is in retrograde, so it should be working fine. That's all right. Well, while Lauren's trying to push that, does anybody have any last questions or comments or anything that they want us, maybe cover in a future meeting? Because we do plan to hopefully do more of these. So if there's anything that you guys are interested in talking about, make sure to let us know.
I'll go back and look at my emails, but I know that the calendar you shared showed New Orleans for the conference, and yet you guys talked about Disney, so I'm just double checking.
It's definitely Disney. It started as New Orleans and then was changed. So thank you for the catch. We will make sure to get that updated, but it is for sure Disney now.
Yep.
Of
Okay,
course-
can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah. I finger cross all the time because with COVID, it feels like if you try to plan for more than a week in advance, it's just hubris. But we're optimistic.
I am so sorry. I don't know what just happened. Like things were flashing at me. It was very frightening. Can we see Slack now? Great. So Slack is pretty simple in my opinion, and I'm not like the biggest techie out there. It's just a conversation space more or less, and it's kind of broken down by topics at this point. So if you want to ask questions about fundraising and talk to one another, like what's a great fundraiser that you've done, or share an idea, or honestly brag about something cool that you did, like the mocktails, this would be a great space for that to live. I would love to hear about all of the wonderful things that you're doing so we can brag about you too. If you want to talk about like what was a great mental health program that you did, put it in here. Let's talk about like what that great coloring event looked like and how you put it together so everyone else can also idea share and figure out how to use that for your district or your group. Honestly, brag about yourselves, please do. I'm going to put stuff, and Christina will put stuff in here too, about like how you can learn to be a better advisor if that's what you're after. We have different video series and things that we've put together over the years that you can use if you want to do like a little brush up on how to be an advisor, or learn how to make, I don't know, a really cool traffic safety event, whatever. It's broken down in the way that I think works well, but if we want to change things, we can do that too. We can add different subtopics. We can chat amongst ourselves, however, but really, again, it's a space for you all that are on the ground doing this work with your chapters to chat about the things that are important to you and that work best. Does that sound like something that works sort of well?
Yes, I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Good. Let's see if we can't make things not explode anymore. Let's do that. Great. Okay. So I know we said 2:45. You're more than welcome to stay on if you'd like to continue chatting. I'm absolutely fine with that. I have the rest of the afternoon. But If you have to go, I totally understand that. We have this recording as well for the folks that missed any part of it. I will send out that slide deck as well. It is already in the Slack, so once you join that, you can see it in there as well. Do we have any like questions, comments, concerns, things we want to bring up right now that like are pressing and annoying us because it's the end of November and that makes us sad? Anyone else feel like they're still in September?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think I'm still in April, so I'm really behind.
It's been a time.
It's been time.
Well, I don't know anything about sticker shock. So if Renee has a minute to stay on and tell us about that, I'd love to hear about it.
Can do. Any other
Absolutely.
questions?
I actually just wanted to ask some questions about being a new member, like a new, but I don't want to keep everybody else on listening to my boring questions. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm going to hang out, but maybe after you talk about the sticker shock, I might pop back in and ask questions.
Absolutely fine. I love it.
I'm there too, because I'm also a new advisor. So like I have a lot of questions, so I'll stay on too.
Beautiful. Any other group questions? Do we think this was useful? Do we think it's something we'd want to do like every other month or so and just kind of brainstorm? We won't have this whole slide deck situation. We'll just get together and talk about a couple different topics that you all are thinking are important. Yes, I'm seeing mostly nodding. Okay, good. I'm not offended if it's not. We'll figure out something that works better.
All right, so I do have a meeting at 3, so I'm just gonna jump on real quick and talk about sticker shock. Sticker
Yep.
shock, I get all my supplies through our local coalition, Healthy Androscoggin. And basically that's just a roll of orange stickers. And then an 8.5 by 11 cardboard on cardstock sign. And basically the message, it looks like a big shield, like a big police badge on both the stickers and the posters. And it just basically reminds people who are purchasing alcohol that it's illegal to provide alcohol to underage people. And then what we do is ahead of time, we call all the places that sell alcohol. So it could be your gas stations, your grocery stores. We're a very small town of probably 10 or 12,000. So we don't have any big grocery stores, but we have a Walgreens and we have, you know, your convenience / gas stations and one smaller market. So we call those ahead of time and get permission to come in. And we've done it for so long that literally I call the day of and I'm like, hey, it's Renee from the PD. We're coming in with a bunch of kids. They're like, yeah, we'll see you later. We have an agreement that we don't put stickers on wine just because that tends to be alcohol that's more purchased as a gift at Christmas time. So we don't mark those bottles or packaging, and we don't pepper everything with the orange stickers. Number one, it's expensive, but number two, you know, we want someone, if they are getting a case of alcohol that they want to bring somewhere and not have a sticker on it, that they have that choice to do that. You know, they're still seeing their sign, they're still seeing the stickers. So we go in, we usually divide, our town has 2 little sections. So one goes to one section, one goes to the other, and the kids go in, the kids do it all. We just kind of help supervise. They put the stickers on, the packaging, in the coolers, on the displays, wherever it is. We always thank the businesses and then we bring them back and we usually feed them pizza. And we always do it on the day before Christmas break or winter break. So it's kind of a last little send off for them and then that's it. So I'm not sure where, I think they actually get the stickers maybe from the state of Maine, but and the wording has to do with our law, you know what the law says for the social hosting, but Christina may know more about where to access those.
Yeah, we can send some follow-up information.
Okay.
Sarah, you've done this too, right? In New York?
Well, it's going to actually be our first one, but this is the sticker our kids designed here.
Nice.
And we're doing big ones like this. These ones are 5 by 7. We're hoping to put them on like beer cases, like the bigger packs. And then we made smaller ones that are like 3 by 5 that we're actually going to put on pizza boxes at our local pizza shops. We've incorporated problem gambling in with ours, since we have the casino in our area and everything like that. So this, we are gearing this for the big on the football season, since football is a huge gambling sport.
I will say, too, one of the local towns past had a lot of awesome road signage geared toward parents near the high school about how they're the biggest losers for if they host underage events, which I thought was really nice. Not a SADD chapter there yet at that school, but I'm working on it, guys.
I like that idea, Sarah, that the kids designed the sticker. I guess we're just not terribly creative here in Maine. Hunter orange. And like I said, they have the shield, but recognizable for sure.
There's definitely
I made up, they gave me the ideas, and then I made up a couple mock stickers and I presented it to them. Cause they were like, oh, you just design it, Sarah. I said, okay, give me some ideas. So they gave me the ideas and I presented it to them, and I actually had to simplify the font because it was too fancy for them. I was like, okay, if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. But they're very specific on what they like. I can say that.
Nice. Well, thank you. And I have to go if there's no more questions about Sticker Shock, but I will look into joining Slack. So if there are any questions, please shoot me a message there. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And Melissa, we do have some info in the Google Classroom about Sticker Shock. We have a guide on Sticker Shock, and I know that Stop DWI Jefferson County will help you out with that too. So we'll chat.
I think my school won't let me access your Google Classroom. I've
That
tried.
sounds about right. Okay, we'll work on that as well. What else we got?
So I just had a quick question about, so we just became an official chapter this year. We have a lot of actually students who come really regularly, which is great. So we were just trying to figure out, first, is there anything we need to do before we go ahead and add members? Like, do I have to watch anything? I saw there were like a bunch of videos and things like that. I didn't know if there's some sort of requirement that like myself and my co-advisor have to like check this box before we add members.
Nope.
No? Okay.
That's the
Okay,
simplest
just to be
answer.
sure.
No, you don't have, there's
Okay.
no required reading. There's nothing you have to do. I don't need a resume. You're all good. You're the
Okay.
advisor. Congrats.
Okay, great.
You just add the students. I do
Okay.
have like, Christina, where are you from?
Spotswood, New Jersey.
Okay, you're mine. So I will get you the kind of blank portal thing that I use, and it's a little easier, gives you instructions, all that jazz.
Okay. Okay. And so in order to like make the payment, because what we're seeing is there's like I thought there was a fee, $5 per member. Am I
Nope.
wrong?
There used to be in years past, thankfully, we have gotten rid of those for the last 2 years, and fingers crossed they stay away.
Okay. Now it did ask for shirt sizes, so we were confused about that. So what happens with that?
So shirt sizes are most important when it comes down to conference and when the students are being gifted like freebies. So it just kind of sits in the portal and waits until we do something or they decide to register for conference, but it's not like the most exciting thing ever. You can put extra large for everybody if you want to.
Okay. That's probably what everyone thinks they wear in high school, because I know that's what I thought I wore in high school.
Same.
Yeah. So, all right. So I will go ahead and register them, and then there's nothing we need to do. And I think that was really it. I was like, I thought there was a fee. We both thought there was. And so my co-advisor was like, make sure you ask this question. I'm like, okay, I will.
There used
So-
to be.
You asked the question, we can confirm that.
Email too about your invoice has been whatever, but it'll say $0 on it. So
Yeah.
don't panic when you see that. It's still
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That was it, I think. Thank you.
Awesome, that was easy.
Yeah.
Any other great ones? Hugh?
I'm sorry that I was late.
No worries.
I was so looking forward to catching from the start of the meeting. So I'm looking forward to getting the presentation, the slide that you have, so I can review that. I'm not new to SADD that much, but my first year being advisor, I've been co-advisor for a few years prior, playing more of a supportive role. I'm in Montclair, New Jersey, by the way, at the Montclair High School. And we had a great advisor who retired a few years ago. Detective Kim Nelson. She was great working. So I was basically a support for her over the years, like over 5-6 years or more here at the high school. But she left us. And then myself and our colleague who took over, actually, were keeping things alive to some extent. We weren't registered in the chapter for 2 years.
Okay.
So this year I decided to make sure that we were back registered in, but we were so top heavy last year during the pandemic. Like most of the members were seniors, and we're like, so we're in a rebuilding phase. Our first meeting, we had like 3 people turn up in October. And then meeting 2 weeks ago, we had a house full. There were over 30 students who turned up for the meeting. I was like, oh my goodness, we only had 4 boxes of pizza. So that was chaotic for a minute, but they're still very excited, and I'm excited in rebuilding and trying to get a co-advisor to join me in this. So I will be counting on you all for any support as we build the group moving forward.
I love it. That's perfect. And that's the way it should be, right? You all learning from each other. I can talk to you for days, but it doesn't make a difference if, we can't do anything with the students on the ground. So.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Up my negotiation and relationship building skills to all my advisors. Like, oh, you want to try to get free pizza? Well, let me see what I can do. Like, sometimes throwing around our national elbows, we can get some extra refreshments, but that's about as much clout as we tend to have is free pizza. That's about as much as we can work out.
Oh,
So.
they take that.
Yeah, we're always happy to try, it never hurts to try.
So who do I liaise with most? Is it going to be Lauren or Christina?
It's me.
Okay.
I'm New Jersey.
Oh, you're okay. All right, cool. Wonderful.
So I'm all yours. You can give me a shout anytime you need questions answered, whatever. I'm all yours. We're registered already, I think, right? So
Yes.
Do we have the students in there yet? I haven't checked.
Not all, no.
Okay. All right. We'll get them in there. We'll be good. No worries. No
Okay.
pressure.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. If you need anything, you know how to get us.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right.
I'll send out all that stuff later on.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.